Hey guys, this is George Capernaros, I'm the owner of YOCTO, and today I'm recording a funnel breakdown of Fatty15. If you don't know Fatty15, they're the #1 fastest growing supplements company in the US, and they do a lot of things well. Um, whether you're an e-commerce marketer that works in-house, whether you're an agency owner, whether you're freelance, whether you even frankly work in SaaS, this video will show you new tricks, and it's going to show you new tricks based on what one of the top brands in the world does. So stay tuned to the very end because I promise you, you will learn new things. This is one of the very first videos of this YouTube channel. I would really appreciate if you subscribed because it's gonna keep me motivated to keep going and publishing high quality videos like this. My goal is to publish at least 2 full funnel breakdowns like this a month, and on top of this, I'm gonna be posting tutorials and instructional videos teaching you what we at YOCTO do for the best health and wellness brands when it comes to lifecycle marketing. So if you see value in this, subscribe, and if you can think somebody in your network can benefit from it, it would mean a lot to me that you would show them this video. Thank you, and let's get into what Fatty15 does. Okay, so I've entered Fatty15's website, and the first thing you should know about this company is that it's actually based on real innovation. They basically discovered a new fatty acid, and I'm looking at all of you guys that are basically dropshipping supplements or sending ready-made formulas from seep offers and the likes of seep offers. You can't really do what Fatty15 does unless you have some genuine innovation built in the product. And from a conversion standpoint, you might be thinking, well, doesn't really matter. I have my long form funnel, I have my VSLs, my advertorials, I'm gonna convert people. But it actually does matter because what this does is that it adds credibility to the product. There's this whole section here at the very top. They have peer-reviewed studies, they have patents, they have press coverage, they have like even written a book, as far as I can tell, the longevity nutrient book, which you can purchase online, all of which adds credibility. And the way things work in the real world is that consumers don't really have linear conversion path. Google has done a lot of research on this. There's a book they've published which is called The Messy Middle. And the messy middle is what happens between the moment that somebody first hears about the brand until they ultimately purchase. We as marketers have been conditioned to think that it looks like a funnel. Like you see the ad, you enter the landing page, and then straight away you purchase. And there's a lot of that, particularly when it comes to paid media. But there's a whole new universe outside of this direct conversion, which is when people hear about the brand, but they might not be in market, and they might start doing research, and then they might try to see if there's backing behind the company, and then they might convert months down the road or weeks down the road. And all of this credibility adds to the brand. And it's incredible that they've went as far as having their own books. There's tons of studies also about the product and about not about the product but about the ingredient, and there's a difference between those two, which could be the topic of another video. But there's also this newsletter concept that they do quarterly, and I find this highly interesting. In fact, I do think this could apply to many brands in our portfolio with some tweaks. The idea ultimately behind all of this is that this is a science-first company. I think that's the main takeaway for you, that it's not a funnel, it's an actual product with a novel ingredient that addresses longevity in a new way, and then on top of it, there's all of the scientific backing behind it. And there's like a real story behind how it was, I guess, invented. Like it involves dolphins. I'm not going to read it to you, but it's highly fascinating. And most importantly, it's highly gradable. It makes you feel that this is something real. And what I want to highlight next is the ads that they have. And the ads that they have, which I can appreciate can be expensive, but what is interesting is that they're using a lot of what you would call influencers.
15 workout.
So this guy here, he is a very popular trainer. Um, the name is Shunti. He used to work with Beachbody. I don't know if he still works with Beachbody, but basically the guy has a massive following. He's a heavy influencer in the wellness space, touching a lot of people. And I believe I don't know his exact age, but I you can see white in his hair, right? So like there's probably an element of saying that, hey, like I'm taking this because I want to stay youthful, which makes a lot of sense based on what the Fatty15 product does. And then the beauty of this is that it goes to a landing page that's specifically featuring the influencer. And you can see that like there's his picture, like there's direct quote by him, and then there's like tons of supporting content below it. It's also interactive, which is something that's more novel for people. Anecdotally, what we've seen at YOCTO is that the more you get people to interact with things and the more they engage, the more likely they are to keep engaging. The principle behind this is consistency. When you start something, you want to finish it. So this is a very beautiful execution from a UX standpoint, which tells you the benefits of the product at a glance and allows you to zoom in on what matters to you without overwhelming you with too much information. Like, so for example, if I primarily care about my metabolism, then I will only need to see this ultimately. And maybe this is not too relevant for me, right? So I don't need to be overwhelmed with all of this info. And of course, they encompass this with this beautiful claim right at the very top, which tells you that it supports you from head to toe. I am curious to see how this would stand from like a compliance standpoint, because I do believe it's bordering on exaggeration at this point, but it does seem to be working well for them. What I also like is that, again, they go very heavy on the science, 100 plus peer-reviewed studies, 10 plus years of research, 20 plus awards, 60 plus patents, even though I believe on the website they say 40, which is interesting. But classically here they have subscription and OTP versions. What you can see is that there's a very high AOV in the first order, and this is something that I think a lot of brands could learn from, because it is obviously way easier to scale your acquisition efforts if your AOV is higher. You can afford the higher CPA, and if you can afford the higher CPA, you can like ultimately spend more. And in many cases, this is as simple as creating an offer that has a 3-month long duration, right? Like you don't need to sell this in quantity that would only last a month. You can sell it in 3 months quantity, and then you collect the two renewals up front, and you can then spend all of this extra money on ads again. So I think this is something that more companies should try. What I don't particularly love about this is that I don't see a real benefit to the subscription besides the saving. Yeah, there's free shipping, but it's only financial benefit. Whereas what my opinion is, you should create subscription programs that have benefits and perks that go beyond just the monetary value. Because if the monetary value is the only reason why somebody would subscribe, they can just subscribe and cancel, and then they get the discount, and you don't get the subscription customer. And this might be happening in this brand as well. It happens to a lot of brands. This is a very classic us versus them comparison. It's very kind of them that they don't have competing products. Why? Probably because there's no competing products, which goes back to my original point about this having actual innovation behind it. Again, you can't really do this if you are sending formulas from SIP offers, generally drop shipping existing solutions to problems. You need to have something novel. And if you do have something novel, this is the end outcome. You can say that this is actually strictly better than the alternatives. Okay, quality, yeah. 6,000 5-star reviews. I find this number quite low. This is very interesting. I wonder what happens if I press on this page. We have this testimonials page, which has a bunch of reviews. Again, I find it very interesting how they only have 6,000 reviews though. To me, and I'm not a standard consumer obviously, because I work in e-commerce, this seems fishy. Because a company that has as many customers and as high a scale as Fatty15 surely has had more than 6,000 people reviewing. So I'm tempted to say that they might be hiding the negative reviews, but of course I'm just guessing now. And then what I see is that they have a bunch of other experts down below, and I'm assuming that those other experts have had their own landing pages before. The reason why I say this is because there's multiple pages like these that they are currently running. They have, this is Dave Asprey, he's like a longevity expert. He actually has his own massive supplements company, not supplement, I believe it's coffee company. So I'm surprised why this is happening. Maybe there's some sort of cross-brand promo happening. Maybe he just believes in the product, hard to tell. But yeah, the rest of the landing page appears to be the same, and those are the standard influencers we saw on the other page. I'm assuming that they're currently testing which front-end influencer performs the best. And arguably you could say that those influencers could just be opening up new audiences, right? So it's not who performs the best, is how can we acquire more audiences in a way. Here's Ricky Lake, okay, Dr. Drew also. It's basically the same concept every time. And what I find interesting is the ads themselves. Let's take a look at the ads themselves.
In 6 days.
Clearly sponsored through his profile.
I can't believe I lasted that long. I would never, ever last.
UGC style.
I'm telling you all, not only am I smarter, and I work smarter, but that Fatty15 is it. I'm telling you. I don't eat beef jerky right now. Bye. I need to go on that Fatty15.
Yeah, it's very classic UGC. It's like he's doing his thing and then he just talks about the product. But of course we know that this is not true because it's sponsored. So he has been paid to do this.
15 workouts.
Basically he says that it helped him go through his workouts and stuff. Let's take a look at another one.
Hi, I'm Dr. Drew, and while longevity supplements are a hot topic these days, I've admittedly been a little skeptical, but I was recommended by a friend to take Fatty15, and I found out that it was an award-winning C15 healthy
Yeah, this is,
supplement backed by over
I don't like saying this,
100
but this is BS because he says I was recommended by a friend. Clearly it's
There are
sponsored.
changes you can see. My son feels like he has more energy. I think I'm sleeping better, but most importantly, I know I'm contributing to my longevity and how long I live well. I truly trust the science behind Fatty15.
Yeah, okay, sure. It's in the same style. He's like doing a review and he says like somebody recommended me to try this. Oh, it's amazing. And I think the core principle here that you could take away from is that in a way the messenger is the message, right? Like it's not so much about what they say on the video, because what they say on the video you could use as well. What has ultimately the impact is who they are. They have their own audience, they've built affinity with, trust with over the years. And what I guess you should do from a growth perspective is ask yourself, who does my audience already trust? And what would I need to do to get them to speak positively about my product? That's ultimately the key question. And it's not about writing the script for them. It's not about like the perfect copy. Like you saw, like the other guy, he was just saying, oh, like I did my workouts, it's great. Like it didn't really, it wasn't conversion copy or anything. No, it's just who they are. And I think that's a big mistake that I see in e-commerce that we do. Like I'm not gonna say that I'm better. We try a little bit too much to be persuasive, whereas what we should really be thinking about is how can we ultimately not need to be persuasive? How can we hijack, in a way, the trust of the target audience that we have? And like, as I reflect on this, like in a B2B context, like for me, for my company, YOCTO, that could potentially be establishing relationships with VCs and private equity companies that the brands that I want my company to work with already trust, because they're funding them, right? And if they were to recommend us, then it would be in a way a done deal. So it's the same concept in a way. Now, I want to take a look at what they do on Facebook a little bit more deeply so that we see if they have other formats that. So far, it's just influencers, basically. They have a lot of variations, which is very interesting. I mean, I'm assuming you already know this, but you can't really predict what will work the best, so you always want to be trying multiple different things at once. Some of them are explicitly using the profile of the influencer, like in this case the ad is run Swanti with Fatty15, and then there's others that are just Fatty15 and they are just featuring him, which is another A/B test variable that they're probably seeing. I see this is a nice static. We can take a look. We can take a look at this. Wish you could slow down aging. Youthful vitality starts at the cellular level. Repair cells, backed by science. Again, like from a compliance standpoint, I think they might be pushing it here. Facebook, Meta as a whole, compliance is not as strict as it used to be, but still, I think this is a little bit of an overdone and over-exaggerated claim, but I mean, if it works for them, who am I to judge? Clean product image. I think the packaging that they have is incredibly beautiful and incredibly premium, so this also matters. It looks not like something like ugly and medical, but like something premium that you would want to have on your desk. Age without breaking. Healthy aging starts with stronger cells, and then there's like tons of social proof below. And what I like is actually this call out, nerd out on the science at fatty15.com. It's very interesting how, in a way, this qualifies your audience, right? And I want to go on a little bit of a tangent here, but it matters. How you acquire customers determines how those customers perform over time. If you acquire customers that nerd on the science, the way Fatty15 does, of course you're going to have customers that understand this is not a magic pill that they'll just take and then boom, they're suddenly going to be 10 years younger. Which ultimately means what? That from a retention standpoint, they're going to have much better retention and much better engagement after the purchase than a supplements company that basically overpromises and frankly bullshits people on the front end, because then of course people are going to be disappointed, first of all, because they won't get the product results that you promised them, but more importantly, you're going to attract people that are looking for actual magic pills. And if you're running this type of business, what you really should be looking, and I know this because I've worked with many companies like this, what you should really be looking at is how can I grow the LTV of the customer. It's not just the front end, it's like how can you essentially keep those people happy and benefiting from your product so that you can then monetize them over time. And if you start by qualifying the right audience from the very beginning, then of course you will have much healthier back-end results as well. Okay, tangent over, let's get on with it. This is another interesting ad that they have. Fatty15 helps our bodies make PDC. I have no idea what PDC is. Suppose it's pen that they can, I'm not even gonna try. Again, heavy on the scientific angle here. Potentially a little bit too heavy in this case, but here's the other benefit of being the #1 fastest growing company in the US. People have heard of you at this point, or at least a lot of people have heard of you at this point. So this could potentially be an easy way for you to kind of keep them in mind, right? It doesn't need to necessarily convince you that you should purchase right now, but it's planting this idea in your brain that, okay, like there's a reason why this product works, and maybe you're over the fence, and maybe you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try. And then of course they have a very direct call to action at the top where they tell you to save money with a code. Let's actually, I'm curious if they apply this immediately, or do you need to apply it manually? Let's take a look. As far as I can tell, they don't, which is crazy to me. Let's take a look at what happens on the checkout level. Oh, it's there already, never mind. So, no, don't see my shipping address. Okay, hopefully nobody will send me a bomb. Let's take a look at this landing page now that we're here. Aids without breaking. We saw this message on an ad, and I'm tempted to say that the reason it's on the landing page is because the ad that had it showed strong engagement. And here's another lesson that you can apply here, that the easiest way to test things at scale is ads. Like it's the easiest way to get impressions on things. So what tends to work on the ad level in terms of angles, in terms of hooks, in terms of getting people to stay and watch a video or click on it, etc., will likely work outside of ads as well, like in the landing pages that you see here. And arguably, potentially in the checkout abandonment emails that they might send me after I abandon the checkout or after I sign up to receive their emails. So the concept that I'm trying to convey here is this continuity really between ad, landing, email, post-purchase, pre-purchase, etc. You want to give people a sense of continuity, and this is not as important when it comes to meta ads, but it is incredibly important when it comes to search ads. Like you want people to see what they were looking for, and the more consistent the messaging can be between ad and lander, the better it is. Let's take a look. The rest seems to be more or less what we saw on the landing page, which is another interesting point in itself. You can see that they're like pumping out landing pages over and over and over again, and all they really change, if you think about it, is just the very first screen. And just to be clear on this, they are changing image, they are changing headline and paragraph text, they are changing the content below the button, and then they have those different bullet points that are different as well. And when you take a look at the different influencer pages, it is all totally different except headline and image. So you can immediately tell that whoever is running their growth team is very strict and rigorous with the variables that they're testing. Like, they don't test everything all at once, and they don't have to really, because if the rest of this page performs, right, what will have the highest impact in terms of optimization is this. And why is this what will have the highest optimization impact? Because it's what everybody will see, right? And you see this in heat maps, you see this in scroll maps. People rarely reach, I mean, not rarely, but not everybody reaches to the very bottom. So an improvement in the FAQ section, which is at the very bottom and also requires somebody to engage and open one of the queries, is going to be seen by a tiny percentage out of everybody that will enter the page. Whereas this very top section is going to ultimately be seen by everybody. And it's just a very simple calculation if you think about it this way. The impact of the test is the impressions it will get, like how many people will see it, multiplied by the potential impact it has. So if 10 people see this, even if the impact were to be high for those 10 people, the total impact of the experiment would still be less than making a smaller improvement on this section that ultimately everybody will see. And having said this, let's go back to ads. Okay, I like this because it seems to be different. Well, we'll see how different.
After finding out,
Okay, this is another UGC ad. In this case, this, as far as I know, as far as I can tell, this is not a celebrity. It's just a regular user. I don't believe it's a regular user. I believe they're probably paid content creator, but who knows? Maybe they're real, right? Like, I have seen it happen. The principle that we see here is what we show also on the actual influencer ads. They are trying to, in a way, hijack trust, and instead of them saying, oh, we're the best, you should buy our product, they're having somebody else say it so that you're more receptive to the message and that you don't really feel like you're being sold. If I'm entirely honest, because this is something that almost all of the brands do at this point, I'm surprised it still works. Like, I'm surprised how consumers don't realize that this is just the brand taking one extra step before they pitch their product, but it still works for whatever reason. And I think what I should also call out here is that the messaging that they use, and this applied to some of their other ads, it leads with a pain point. Metabolism stuck in slow motion, which ultimately means struggling to lose weight, just like in a more elevated way. So it's pain, yeah, and then it's solution. Not solution, but their value proposition. And then there's an explanation. So pain, value proposition slash answer to the pain or problem of the consumer. And then what they do is that they have an explanation or substantiation of what they say. And then a little bit of proof. And then there's this lady here. There's like multiple versions. Here it's PCOS. Again, trying to find a new audience. We often see this when testing new angles. I want to take a look in case they have a new landing page. These are like summer themed ads. I like this a lot. It's a testimonial ad. We see it work across. Interesting concept. Interesting how they say translate and then it changes, it makes it more interactive and arguably novel. So novelty means more people are likely to be interested in it because it's something they haven't seen before. Let's take another look at this. What is this?
A few months ago, we
Okay, this is
told me that it's made
storytelling.
with C15, which is the first essential fatty acid discovered in over 90 years. So of course, I got curious and I started reading about it, and it turns out that C15 helps support your brain, your mood, sleep, and memory, but not as a quick fix. It works at the cellular level to keep.
So what they do here is that they basically, in video format, have an advertorial type of storytelling. So there's I don't want to say that an actor, but there's a consumer, let's say, that explains how they discovered the product and how they did research, and then ultimately I'm willing to bet what it did for them. And that experience would be the experience that the average customer of Fatty15 would have. And they're just essentially walking you through the process of discovering why this product is legit. And again, they're using another entity's voice to say that this is not us pitching, it's other people saying it, hence it's more trustworthy. What I find very interesting is that this goes to a standard landing page. What they could have done is, perhaps they do this in other channels, we're going to find out today, create a custom landing page. On this page, it could be like an actual advertorial, taking this story and like explaining it in more detail, and then ultimately the page would link to a checkout. A lot of high-performing companies do try this, and it works very well for them. Basically, advertorial funnels. Some even have two advertorials. You have the first listicle, usually like top 5, and then it takes you to the other advertorial, and then it takes you to the checkout. So I think this is something that they could potentially test. Maybe they're testing it in another channel. Okay, I think that's enough for Facebook ads. So I'm going to take a look at what they do on Google now. Before we get into what they do for Google Ads, I just want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about what we do at YOCTO. We're a lifecycle marketing agency, and we specialize in health, wellness, beauty, and CPG brands. So we specialize on this vertical, and on top of this, we specialize on the business model. So we mostly, almost exclusively at this point, work with subscription-based brands. The reason why I say this is because in our view, lifecycle marketing, retention marketing, it's not about sending more emails, it's not about pretty designs, and it for sure is not about growing what people call Klaviyo revenue. So if you've paid a lot of money to an agency before and you still felt like you did have the work, that they did not get your brand, that they send emails, but they didn't move the needle, then I have an offer for you. You'll find a link in this very video to book a call with me. The call will be with me directly. And what I promise you in that call is that I'll figure out what matters to your company on a quarterly horizon, and then I'll make you an offer that you won't be able to resist. The offer is, I'll tell you specifically what you need to do to achieve the objective that you have this quarter from a life cycle standpoint. I will tell you specifically what you need to do to create a system that allows you to A, outgrow, and B, outspend your competition and become the number one in your niche. So if that's interesting, find the link below and book a call with me. I promise you, you haven't worked with an agency the way mine works. Okay, let's see what Fatty15 does for Google Ads. And by the way, Fatty15 I think is a good name. So that too is something that should be said. It's like Fatty15. It's like an easy thing to say, and it kind of sticks to you in an interesting way. Now, I don't know how deep you are into Google Ads. They tend to be kind of on the boring side. What is immediately obvious is that this testimonial copy here, I feel way more balanced, it's reoccurring on their ads. Like you can see it more than once. You see it even here, etc. Usually this tells you that it works, right? The more they do something, the more likely it is that it's working. What is also interesting, different keywords that they're going after. So like here they have like the starter kit. Here they have this pentadecanoic acid, and we saw that they had this also on Meta. I'm willing to risk a bet that for whatever reason, this is something that has search behind it. I don't know, maybe like it got mentioned like in a Huberman podcast, maybe like there's some sort of new study that came out about this, which is why they're specifically targeting this keyword, because otherwise I would find it very odd that they would go after it. Why would somebody go after it unless people are already searching for it? In which case it makes sense here, and it makes sense on the ad level, which ultimately is, just to take a step back, it really shows you that if you have, I think this applies regardless of the vertical, but especially in wellness, if you have a product like this, you need to be deep into what's happening into the industry, into the ecosystem. Like you need to be paying attention. What are the trends? What are people getting interested in? What are other voices of influence? I mentioned Huberman for a reason, like he has massive reach. What are they saying? Like how can you potentially relate it into your product? So that's another takeaway. Okay, a little bit on the boring side, as is usual for Google. Let's have a look at YouTube in particular. So I'm using VidTao for this. It's a paid technology, and I don't have a paid subscription at the moment. If these videos start getting traction, obviously we'll sign up so that we can take a deeper look together. But what we see here is that the videos generally are on the shorter side, which I find interesting. Usually on YouTube you would have longer content. So let's take a look at this one actually, which does seem to be longer. What would you do with more time? Interesting. Let's see.
This is a capsule, a time capsule, with the power to reverse fragility, fatigue, decay, aging at the cellular level. It rebuilds, repairs, revitalizes cells, because that's where aging starts, from the inside out. Not here, but here. 37.2 trillion parts of you, all racing through time, breaking you down. But this time capsule pumps the brakes, giving you time to show your cells, yourself, what you're truly worth. Which, of course, is everything. Love thy cells, love thyself. Fatty15.
Okay, this was a very interesting, I think, ad. And what I want to bring attention is... So I want to specifically bring this up, because what they do here is very subtle, and in a way, if you think about it, they are not just positioning Fatty15 as the key to longevity, they are also automatically depositioning and attacking in a subtle way every external application treatment. So that goes into creams, that goes into oils, all of those things that people use to look more youthful are basically telling you it's kind of useless, because that's not the point, it's what happens within. And this is a very interesting ad because of this. I think they do a lot of things right in this ad, but this particularly stood out. You should always be thinking, my consumer does not live in isolation. Like there's other brands, there's other messages that they're receiving. And it's not so much about how you can communicate to them, it's also about how you can convince them that your solution is ultimately a better alternative to every other choice they have, including actually not doing anything at all. So this is a very good example of that. Let's take a look at more of their ads, because that was quite interesting. Okay, this seems like another influencer ad. I think we've had many. What is the problem with omega-3 fish oil supplements? Let's see.
Omega-3s are awesome, but there's a huge problem with them. Do you think you're actually getting fresh omega-3s? Omega-3s are a polyunsaturated fat, which means that they are very fragile and they're very prone to oxidation. So I can't really think of a situation where you could be taking in an omega-3 supplement and have it not be somewhat oxidized and have it not be a little bit rancid. Now, when you look at omega-3s from food, that's a different story. Eating fatty fish, things like that. But you're actually looking at cell structure and you're trying to do things that are good for the cellular membrane, you might want to look at Fatty15. Fatty15 is a very specific 15 carbon chain fat.
Okay, yeah, it's a very classical ad. Like they try to, it's what I said before actually, they try to deposition the alternative and explain why theirs is better. Okay, that's not too innovative, I'd say. All right, I think we've had enough about ads. So what I'd like to do now is see what's going on from a CRM standpoint. Okay, so as much as they do everything else well so far, this pop-up is not a good pop-up because it's not particularly optimized from like a UX standpoint. The offer is arguably less attention grabbing than the brand name. And even the call to action language, I would say, is wrong. Like nobody wants to like submit. Claim offer would be probably better. Image, same as the image behind. Like all in all, transparently, I think this is poor execution. I do want to see what they send after I sign up, so I'm gonna do that. Okay, so this is a little bit weird because I, of course, received this welcome email, which is expected behavior, but on top of this, I also received this, which I should not be receiving. Because if I have not confirmed my subscription, this should not be sending out. So I'm gonna confirm my subscription. Again, looks like they're also on Klaviyo. And I want to see if I receive a second welcome email on top of what I already received. Right? But let's take a look at this. Okay, la la la. All in all, a very, again, in my opinion, suboptimal. I won't say bad, I'll say suboptimal way to execute a welcome journey at the moment. So pop-up and welcome so far at least, including how they manage consent, does seem to be problematic. I've posted in this YouTube channel a video on how you should do pop-ups and a video on how you should approach the welcome journey, which ultimately is a conversion journey, right? Like they got me to sign up by telling me you're gonna get free shipping, you're gonna get money back guarantee, la la la. So I wanna buy, basically. That's why I'm signing up. And they're not making it easy for me here. They're telling me about the story and all of that, which at this point, I'm probably not too interested in. I just raised my hand and said, hey, I wanna buy. So they should, boom, give me the offer, send me to the landing page, the way Grooms does. But let's see. Okay, so apparently they're testing multiple different pop-up copy versions. This is just taking desired outcomes and putting them together. Yes, please, no. Again, submit, wrong way to go about this, but it is what it is. There's the SMS also. I really want to see more brands that allow you to see the coupon code or whatever it is they're offering you when you press no thanks. At the moment, this closes the pop-up fully and you don't really see anything else. So from a pop-up standpoint, I would say, so ads, A+, landings, A+, Google Ads, B, I would say, YouTube A+, I really liked what I saw, maybe A, not A+, but pop-up is squarely on the C-level territory, same as this welcome email. We added a bunch of emails that they've sent here just to kind of like review the overall style, and honestly they're pretty good from a layout standpoint. Like there's clear separation between the elements, looks high quality, looks premium, there's like clean calls to action. When there's an offer, the offer is featured prominently. The issue that I see is that they're kind of verbose, I'd say. Like there's quite a bit of stuff going on here, and the call to actions themselves, they seem to be, I guess, all over the place. So listen to this conversation, explore Fatty15, this goes to the website, tune into this, see what the press says. Then there's a buy one as well. Ultimately, I think they're trying to do too many things at once on this. So from a conversion standpoint, what you want to do always is, as much as possible, isolate attention. So just like you have the Sean T ad, which takes you to the landing page that features Sean T, and like you want people to tunnel vision on what it is that the landing page says, so that they complete the purchase. You want to do the same thing here. You don't want to have 10 different calls to action happening at the same time. You want to, as much as possible, be focusing the user's attention. So let's take a look at a few more emails, because I want to be sure that I'm not too harsh on them. I'm sure they have a strong team. I mean, I've been surprised before, but based on the growth that they have, I'm assuming that the CRM team is also strong. So I'm opening like a few random emails that we can review together. And by the way, I'm going to be linking all of this into the middle board. So like you can do your own research in great detail if you'd like. Sure, we are okay. That's sweet of you, okay. I don't like this. Again, I feel like they are not being as tunnel vision focused on getting the conversion here. And apparently this links to the homepage, which, I mean, it has information that could cause you to purchase, but would it not be better to be linking here? This is their actual PDP. Why would you be linking to the homepage? Like, I don't get that. Okay, this does lead to the product page, which is good. The science page, I don't like this again. The difficulty here is that we can't see what the segment is. If this is prospects, then it could potentially make sense, because again, from a user standpoint, they sign up, there's a window of time where they could reasonably make up their mind and purchase, and then if they don't, it does make sense to try and expose them to more trust building information like the science page. But if this is, for example, sent to, I don't know, like customers or very new and recent prospects, then it doesn't make sense. You should, in the case of prospects, have a very clear conversion path, and in the case of customers, not be sending this at all. They would need completely different content. Interesting, they have a referral program here. And I like this a lot, actually. I like how they're giving instructions to make the most of it. It's possible that the links are, I mean, I hope this doesn't go to the homepage, because if it does, that's obviously not good, but it's possible that the links shown here are just wrong, so maybe I'm being unfair to them. Efficacy, okay. I have the feeling that few people would read the entire thing, but even if literally nobody reads the entire thing, the fact that this exists is great, because even if you don't read this, it allays any potential concerns you have about the efficacy of the product. Just knowing that it exists, that there's all of those studies that you can access, that there's this book written, blah, 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 all of those things allay concerns in terms of whether this is legit or not. And again, you can only do this if there's real innovation happening. I like this. Nerdy to gooder. This is very nice. Curious what the segment for this was, but this is very nice. I could see this happening. It could make sense both for prospects that are undecided and for customers that need help. Again, hard to know who they send this to, but the execution here is very good for what they're trying to do. Okay. So the links do seem to be correct, so maybe they are actually not using the correct links. This is an event that they do. Okay, they are basically, yeah, this is a great idea, what they do. What if we could age without breaking? I don't like the learn more again. I don't like leading to the homepage again. Interesting. Okay, I think that's enough of an overview. I will be giving you this trimmed down version of their funnel, and of course you can open up the links that I opened myself and find all of those other pages that I showed in this video for yourself, the influencer pages, the Google ads, the YouTube, etc. But here's my question to you. Should I purchase their products and do a version 2 of this video where I break down how they retain and monetize customers over time? Because what we saw today is only what happens before you purchase. And I think it's very possible that the true genius of the brand is what happens after you purchase. So let me know in the comments or text me on LinkedIn, whatever works. I'm very active there. And let me know on whether you think we should be purchasing their products and doing an even deeper breakdown of what they do. I hope you found this interesting and helpful. Please do subscribe if you did so. It really helps. And it's really gonna motivate me to keep producing videos like this. Thank you.